So the ice is going to be a concern early this morning just because it is so bitterly cold out this morning. Our crews have to give it to them. They did a great job of clearing the roadways. So it's really the shoulders and the exit ramps, overpasses, bridges. That's where you have to be extra careful this morning because with overnight temperatures in the teens, but with the real feel, the wind chill being well below that, anything that was left behind in terms of snow that may have melted under some of that sunshine yesterday, that is now frozen over this morning. Philadelphia, 13 degrees across the board here, but it's going to be the feels like temperature that you have to dress for. Make sure you've got plenty of layers as you're heading out early on this Monday morning. Feels like 3 degrees in Philadelphia, -5 there in Coatesville, 2 degrees in Mount Holly, Goose Egg and Millville. So this is what it's going to feel like for most of the day here. Our highs in the upper 20s, but in terms of the real feel, we're not going to get out of the teens. Here's right around lunchtime, still in Philadelphia, feels like 17 degrees, feels like 7 degrees in Coatesville right around noon. And then as the kids are coming home from school, yep, we're staying in the teens. So make sure you've got all those layers. As I mentioned, a look at that full forecast is coming up, as well as when we can expect things to warm up. But for now, I'm going to send it over to Lindsay. Could be a pretty busy morning commute for you with some of those icy conditions.
Yeah, absolutely, Jenna. And you're going to want to
trying to dig out, especially if you did not leave yesterday because it was a Sunday. You want to make sure that you completely clear off your car before you head out onto the roadways and just take it slow, because with temperatures now in the teens, actually feeling closer to the single digits in Philadelphia, anything that did melt yesterday with a little bit of that sunshine is now going to be frozen over. So that is the concern for this morning commute. PennDOT did a great job of clearing the roadways, but there is still some areas that you have to be careful. The shoulders are going to be icy, overpasses, bridges, ramps. Those are all spots where you really want to take your time. If we take a look at our temperatures for today, we're going to top out in the upper 20s, but again, it is not going to feel that way. We are going to feel like we're in the single digits this morning, and then throughout the rest of the day, we're going to feel like we are in the teens. So you want to make sure that you are dressed for temperatures in the teens, plenty of layers, winter jackets. Maybe you're still going to wear the snow boots because they've got better traction on some of this ice, but I wanted to give you a look here at Futurecast. We're going to start off our Monday with some nice sunshine, so that's also going to help with some of the melt here in terms of the ice and in terms of the snow. So I think that's why a lot of our schools are on that 2-hour delay, because with some of the sun, hopefully the ice won't be as big of a concern a bit later this morning. But if we put this into motion, it's right around lunchtime that increasing cloud coverage is going to come in. And then for the rest of the day, pretty much from lunchtime on, clouds are going to rule. Now later this afternoon into the evening, right around 5:30, I wanted to point out here in the Lehigh Valley, there is the potential to see some snow flying in the air, a couple flurries here and there, but nothing like we saw Saturday into Sunday. Now, right around Tuesday afternoon, we are back into the clear with sunshine expected. So let's give you a look at that 70 cold. We are well below average for this time of year. Remember, we are still in the fall season. The official start of winter is not until Sunday. So we've got this last week of from all of that snow. I know it happened on a Sunday, so maybe a lot of people stayed put. If you were one of those people, make sure that you get out there completely clearing off your car, but doing so carefully because our sidewalks very icy this morning. Degrees in Pottstown and Coatesville. If you're in Trenton, 14 degrees, Mount Holly, 14 degrees as well. But it actually is not feeling that warm, if you want to call that even warm, but comparatively might feel a little bit warm with these temperatures. The feels like 4 degrees. Philadelphia right now, -4 in Coatesville. So Chester County waking up to very cold conditions. Feels like 2 degrees in Dover. Feels like 2 degrees as well here in Atlantic City. Now throughout the day, although our temperatures are going to top out in the upper 20s, we're not going to get out of that feels of a teen. So you can see 17 in Philadelphia. It'll feel like 8 degrees in Coatesville right around lunchtime. By 12:30, the kids heading home from school still feeling like 14 degrees in Pottstown, 9 in Coatesville, 17 in Wildwood. So make sure you are bundled up this morning. Now I'm going to send it over to Lindsay. She's got a check of the road. It is cold this morning, so definitely will wake you up if you're heading out the door early for your Monday morning. Philadelphia right now coming in around 18 degrees, but the real feels temperatures are actually in the single digits. It feels more like 5 degrees in Philadelphia. The negatives, -5 degrees is what it feels like in Coatesville right now. In the Lehigh Valley, we're around 1 degree. So yes, overall, it is going to be a very bitterly cold morning, and even into the afternoon you still have to have those layers on. So let's take a look at some of the temperatures. Yes, we're going to reach the upper 20s today, but when you take in the wind chill right around 8 a.m. it's going to feel like 3 degrees. Lunchtime, it'll feel like 7 degrees as clouds are increasing. So we will start the morning with some nice sunshine that will help in terms of melting some of those icy conditions that we are concerned about this morning. But we're not going to feel much warmth from the sun. You'll see here right around 2 o'clock, it'll feel like 14 degrees. Not much of a difference by the time the kids are coming home from school. Around 4 o'clock, it's going to feel like 15 degrees. So let's take a look at Futurecast. Right now, we are in the clear, but as our morning rolls on into the afternoon, that is when our clouds come into play. So right around lunchtime, we'll see that increasing cloud coverage, and then the rest of the day will remain mostly cloudy. I wanted to point out later this evening in the Lehigh Valley, right around 5:30, there is the potential to see some flurries, some snow flying in the air, but nothing accumulating like we saw here Saturday night into Sunday. So Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs closer to home, we stay just cloudy at that point, but just wanted to point out that there might be some snow flying in the Lehigh Valley a bit later on this evening. Now overnight we clear things out and we start Tuesday much like we're starting this morning, clear and dry, but very, very cold. So let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Yesterday was so beautiful when the sun came out and it was just sort of reflecting off of the snow. So hopefully you had a nice Sunday snow day. But yes, overnight temperatures and now into our Monday, very, very cold. So anything that did melt under some of that sunshine will be frozen this morning. Our crews did a great job of clearing the roadways. So my drive-in wasn't terrible. Hopefully yours will be the same as you're heading out the door, but you got to be careful of the shoulders, overpasses, bridges, ramps, on and off ramps, always very tricky. Some of the intersections in Dover, but actually it feels like -4 in Coatesville, 0 Doylestown, and these feels like temperatures will continue throughout our Monday. So even though we're topping out in the upper 20s right around lunchtime, we're still feeling like we're in the teens, and that continues as you're picking the kids up from school later this afternoon around 4:15. Tonight, still 16 degrees in Philadelphia by the time it's 8 p.m. So your morning commute, yes, that high is 18, but single digits, icy roads expected. Evening commute, still feeling like the teens and very, very cold out there. So let's check that morning commute right now. Lindsay is standing by with that. I did see some ice this morning, Lindsay, but for the most part, my drive was okay. How was your drive? It was in some areas, so we are still digging out. And I think because it was a Sunday snow, a lot of people maybe didn't even head outside to wipe their car off. So please, if you are getting outside, make sure you completely clear your vehicles. It could be a very dangerous situation, not only for yourself, but the drivers around you. And we've got a lot of schools on that 2-hour delay, so parents are sort of delayed getting out the door, giving you a little bit of extra time maybe to clear that car. Right now in Philadelphia, the temperature reads at 18 degrees, but it does not feel that way. Our feels like temperatures are in the single digits early this morning, and we'll top out in the upper 20s in terms of our high, but we're still going to feel like we're in the teens for most of the day. So let's take a look right around 8 a.m., 15 degrees, but feeling more like 3 degrees, and that continues here around lunchtime. If you're heading out, about 7 degrees, that's the real feel. And later this afternoon, as you're picking the kids up around 4 o'clock, it'll still feel like 15 degrees. So make sure the kids, make sure yourself, you are bundled. You've got plenty of layers as you are heading out the door. Expecting to see some wind gusts in the 20s today. So yes, it is going to be bitterly cold. We are well below average for what it should feel like this time of year, because remember, it's still technically fall. That was quite a fall snow that we saw over the weekend. The first day of winter is not until Sunday. So we've got a couple days here until it's actually winter. Let's give you a look at Futurecast this morning. We are clear and dry, but you'll see some of those winds here that are impacting that temperature and that reals feel. If you're heading out around lunchtime, increasing cloud coverage. Wanted to point out later tonight around 5 p.m. Lehigh Valley north of Allentown could see some flurries flying in the air, but nothing like we were dealing with as we headed from Saturday into Sunday. So take a relaxing Sunday morning, enjoy some of the snow, but I know the kids would have loved to maybe get that snow day, but at least they got the delay this morning, so getting out the door a bit later. But as you get out the door, you want to make sure you are bundled up. So yes, snow was the story this weekend, but Monday, now the story is the cold. 15 degrees in Philadelphia, 12 degrees in Pottstown, 14 in Allentown, 16 in Millville, 17 in Dover, but that's not actually what it's feeling like outside. This is what you have to dress for. It feels like 5 degrees in Philadelphia, still feels like -4 degrees in Coatesville, 1 degree in Doylestown, 2 degrees in Millville, 2 as well there in Dover. And throughout the day, if we put that into motion, you'll notice that our temperatures struggle to reach the teens. If they do here in Coatesville, 8 degrees is what it'll feel like around 12:45. 17 degrees in Philadelphia, and that continues as the kids are coming home from school. You're leaving work, getting ready to head out the door. You want to have all those layers with you well into this evening as we top out around 28 degrees. But again, it will not feel that way. We're going to feel like the single digits for most of the morning, and then just those teens as we head throughout the day. Now, your morning commute, icy roads, of course, are a concern. Evening commute, it's just going to be bitterly cold as you head out the door. Let's check the commute right now with Lindsay. Lindsay, I know I saw some ice. It is bitterly cold, so we are well below average for this time of year. Current conditions in Philadelphia, about 18 degrees, but it's feeling more like the single digits, and that is the theme for today. So yes, we had a whole lot of snow Saturday night into Sunday morning, and now the story is just this Arctic air that is behind all of that snow. Around 8 a.m. it's going to feel like 3 degrees. We will start the day with sunshine, so hopefully that'll help with some of the melt in terms of the ice, the black ice that I was watching overnight into the early morning commute, but it's not going to offer much warmth. By 10 a.m. it'll feel like 7 degrees. We hold that temperature around lunchtime. Increasing cloud coverage, so clouds come into play right around noon and stick around for the rest of the afternoon. Around 2 p.m. it'll feel like 14 degrees, 15 degrees, so really no warm up here in terms of that feels like temperature. Right now it is clear outside, so yes, we'll get a nice sunrise with some of that snow. It might be really pretty there if you look out your window, but if you did not head out yesterday, then you've got some work to do. You got to clear the car off. Make sure you completely clear it here before you head out onto the roadways, not only for your safety, but of course, all the drivers around you as well. I know a lot of kids are on that 2-hour delay because of some icy conditions right around 1 o'clock. Here's that cloud coverage that I just mentioned. I also wanted to talk about the potential to see some snow that is north of the city in the Lehigh Valley. 5:30 could see some flurries flying in the air. Nothing major, no big concerns with that system, but just something to take note of. Waking up tomorrow morning, conditions like this morning, it is going to be clear.
Cold is kind of gonna warm up, not really so much, but just a little bit.
I mean, anything feels warmer than what it feels like right now. So I think we technically can call it a warm up midweek as we head closer and closer to the weekend. I know it's only Monday, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But right now, a look at temperatures in and around Philadelphia. The report in the teens, but it's not actually feeling like 17 degrees in Philadelphia. If you're heading out the door right now, that real feel, it feels like 6 degrees in Philly. It feels like -5 in Coatesville, so bitterly cold. I know a lot of our schools are on delays this morning, so hopefully that'll give us a little bit of time to feel some warmth, but for the most part, we're going to be holding these single-digit temperatures and temperatures in the teens for our Monday. Feels like right now 1 degree in Doylestown, 2 degrees in Millville, so right feel like 17 in Philly, 9 in Coatesville, 17 in Atlantic City, and as we're heading home from work, same deal. So we really struggle to warm up for our Monday. Tuesday, we'll see a bit of relief in terms of the wind chill, but it's still going to be cold tomorrow. It's not really until Wednesday that we start to see some improvement. So I'll have that in the 7-day forecast coming up. But for now, your morning commute, know that it's going to be icy outside. So please be extra careful and take your time as you're heading home. Yes, we'll top out in the upper 20s, but still feeling like the teens, bitterly, bitterly cold. So let's check that morning commute right now with Lindsay. Lindsay, how are we doing? I know you've been a little bit busy out there.
Yeah, it is a beautiful start to our Monday. I know we said we are expecting
It this morning, and that's the reason why a lot of schools are on 2-hour delays. So make sure you check with your school district. But let's get you out the door right now. Philadelphia reporting a temperature of 17 degrees, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels more like the single digits, and that's pretty much most of the morning. As we head into the afternoon, we're not getting out of temperatures here feeling in the teens. 2 o'clock, it's still going to feel like 14 degrees. As we're heading home later, picking up the kids from school, it's going to feel like 15 degrees. So sunshine for now, but increasing cloud coverage. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we are clear with some of those winds gusting to the 20s today. So those layers are going to be very important. Make sure you've got on the sweater, the scarf, the hat, the winter jacket, maybe some snow boots. I know it's not actively snowing out there, but something with better traction that's going to help you walk on some of these icy conditions, because sidewalks, yes, they're still going to be a little treacherous. We're talking about the sides of the roadway, exit ramps, overpasses, bridges, intersections. They're treated, but anything that did melt yesterday under some of that sunshine is going to be frozen solid this morning. So here's that cloud coverage right around 12:30. That comes into play. Clouds stick with us for the rest of the day, well into the afternoon. Wanted to mention later this evening around 5:30 northwest of the city here, closer to Allentown. Could see some snow, could see some flurries flying in the air, but nothing of major concern. Now, let's give you a look at temperatures, because yes, we had all of that snow this weekend, but now the big story is going to be this cold, cold air that came behind the snow. Temperatures in Philadelphia right now around 17 degrees, 13 in Coat, 17 in Dover. So it doesn't sound terrible. Sounds like something we can deal with, but that's not what it actually feels like outside. This is what you have to pay attention to. It feels like 6 degrees in Philly right now. It feels like -5 in Coatesville. Yikes. Feels like 1 degree in Pottstown, 2 degrees in Millville if you're closer to the shore, 5 degrees in Wildwood. And that's pretty much the theme for today. We're in the single digits for those feels like temperatures for most of the morning. By lunchtime, we get into the teens, and we do not get out of the teens here for the rest of the day. So you want to make sure you've got all of those layers. You've got the winter coat, you've got the sweater, you've got the scarf, you got the hat, you got the gloves, whatever you need. And this morning, the concern really is for those icy roads in terms of your morning commute, because anything that was under that sunshine as of yesterday, that has melted overnight because of the temperatures. And then that drive home, it's going to be bitterly cold. Again, ignore those temperatures, because that's not what it feels like. Single digits this morning, teens later this afternoon into the night. Alyssa, I'll send it over to you. Our fans yesterday were cold, but that is nothing for Eagles fans. Weather really doesn't matter when it comes to the birds. Lots of snow this weekend, but now the story is going to be the Arctic air that has followed the snow. So right now in Philadelphia, temperature reads upper teens, but it feels more like the single digits because of the wind chill. And that is something that you want to take into account as you're getting yourself ready, as you're getting the kids ready. A lot of schools on delay this morning, and that is because of the icy conditions expected on the roadways. So we'll check that morning commute in just a bit here, but let's talk about our temperatures today. We're in the teens for most of our day. Our high is the upper 20s, but again, it will not feel that way. Feeling like the single digits well into the early afternoon. Right around lunchtime still feels like 7 degrees. Feels like 14 degrees by 2 p.m., 15 by 4 p.m. So not much relief in terms of this cold air. Now, sunshine to start will help with a bit of melting for some of the ice outside, but won't warm us up too much. Those clouds will increase right around lunchtime and then stick around for the rest of the afternoon as we head into our Tuesday. Now, Again, right around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you'll notice those clouds coming into play. I wanted to mention later this evening, maybe between 5 and 6, the Lehigh Valley has the potential to see some snow. Nothing like we saw over the weekend, but north and west of the city, north of Allentown, you may see some flurries flying later this afternoon into the evening. And then Tuesday, pretty much waking up the same way we woke up this morning, clear and dry, but very, very cold. So let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Little bit of relief. Temperature gets a bit warmer tomorrow with a high of 31, but still very, very cold. Wednesday, high of 43. It's not until Thursday that we really start to see some mild temperatures, mostly cloudy, but a high of 52. With those temperatures being in the 50s, that gives us the chance to see some rain. So Thursday night, maybe some rain, maybe a little bit of fog as we head into Friday with morning rain, high of 47. Saturday comes in 39, mostly cloudy. First day of winter breeze. All right, I'm going to send it over to Lindsay. I know you've been pretty busy out there on the roadways this morning.
Yeah, lots of accidents now as the morning is picking up. It is getting very busy.